Good morning. Welcome to Cooper's Cogitations. I'd like to discuss the sixth commandment, thou shalt not murder. Now, every negative commandment has a positive to it. Every positive has a negative to it. If I can't murder my neighbor, what I need to do is take care of him, give unto him his due, help him out whenever I can, be kind to him, be honest. Those are some of the positives of this negative law. I like negative laws. They're very specific. Positive laws are very general. But thou shalt not murder. Wide implications. One of them, of course, is that you can't murder yourself by too much exercise, too little exercise, eating the wrong things. Getting inappropriate medicines, pharmaceuticals, with drink or drugs. See, the essence of this is that God is the sole author of life. Therefore, he determines when you enter and when you leave. For us to take that prerogative upon ourselves puts us in the place of God. We kick him out and we decide we're going to be God now. It's a minor detail, but a very important detail. Now, man must procreate. This is a religious duty once you're married. Therefore, marriage is ordained of God and procreation is ordained of God within the structure and bounds of marriage. However, there are those who, for whatever reason, after they engage in the act of procreation lawfully or unlawfully, they become with child and they decide they wish to terminate the pregnancy. Of course, this is just the pagan worship of Moloch. Moloch, as you remember, was this metal structure with an open maw, and they'd heat it up and they'd take a baby and put the baby in it. I think they like the screams. Go to YouTube and look up the silent scream. This will be a saline abortion where they burn the baby to death with chemical induced into the womb. And then, of course, they pull the baby apart. You'll see all that on silent screen. Yeah. Now, there are those, the Bible does specify what happens. Elective abortions were not common. I haven't been able to find them in the scriptures. However, accidental abortions, miscarriages are. If a woman's with child and these two men are fighting, if they smash into the woman and nothing happens, then all they do is pay a fine. But if something happens to the woman or to the baby, whatever happens to the woman or to the baby happens to the perp. So perps in an, quote, accidental abortion, end quote, are terminated. Fast forward that to today. Those who fund, advocate, promote, perform abortions. In this life, it's, quote, okay, end quote, and some might call them heroes in the next life with judgment. They will have to talk to God about this. This is the current LDS church position on abortion. Human life is a sacred gift from God. Elective abortion for personal or social convenience is contrary to the will and commandments of God. Church members who submit to, perform, encourage, pay for, or arrange for such abortions may lose their membership in the church. In today's society, abortion has become a common practice, defended by deceptive arguments. Latter-day prophets have denounced abortion, referring to the Lord's declaration, "Thou shalt not kill, nor do anything like unto it." Doctrine and Covenants 59:6. Their counsel on the matter is clear. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints must not submit to, perform, encourage, pay for, arrange for abortion. Church members who encourage abortion in any way may be subject to church discipline. Wonderful. Church leaders have said that some exceptional circumstances. Dr. Ben Carson said the number of rape and incest victims who are with child and seek abortion is so minuscule it cannot be counted on a national scale. It doesn't even show as a fraction of 1%. However, the church leaders grant that. May justify an abortion such as when pregnancy may result from rape or incest, life and health of the mother is judged by competent medical authority to be in serious jeopardy, when the fetus is known by competent medical authority to have some severe defects that will not allow the baby to survive beyond birth. But even these circumstances do not automatically justify an abortion. Those who face such circumstances should consider abortion only after receiving a confirmation through earnest prayer. They also ran an entire enzyme issue on this. Rape, incest, not married, la-di-da-di-da-di. And in every case, the woman prayed about it. In every case, she delivered the baby. After I was born, my mother, who was a registered nurse, had her training at Southern Baptist Hospital in New Orleans. We were in Michigan, and she diagnosed herself as having Hodgkin's disease, terminal back in the early 50s, late 40s. They went to New Orleans because she wanted to go to Southern Baptist Hospital, people she knew, la-di-da-di-da. They came down, but in the normal course of marital life, she became with child. Two competent medical authorities said, abort. The third competent medical authority happened to be a Christian. He says, you can do this. She prayed about it. And my brother David has been a mainstay in my life and in the life of my family. He married one of my children, came out from New Orleans to Utah to marry one of my children. In September, he's coming out from Texas to marry another child of mine up in Colorado. He's been a blessing. They go down to Texas to see him. He moved from New Orleans to Texas, Galveston. He comes to see them. They go to see him. They talk on the phone. He's a blessing in my life. And now that he's become a Christian in his old age, it's even better. Mothers could lose church membership for willfully aborting their child. There are people who argue abortion preponderantly occurs in inner cities. Druggies, prostitutes, promiscuous philanderers abort. Reducing crime as the criminal element often comes from these types of people. Others like to argue that since Christ spoke to Nephi, declaring that on the morrow come I into the world, his spirit had not entered the body, which was still in Mary's womb. Therefore, since the spirit had not entered the body, it was all right to kill it, regardless of the fact that the body itself is a living entity. Oh wait, isn't that what the Nazis said? Jews aren't human, so you can kill Jews. And these people say, well, the fetus, they don't call it a baby, the fetus isn't human, therefore you can go ahead and kill it. Wow, interesting arguments. We are not ignorant as to when the spirit enters the body. Brigham Young said, it is there as soon as there is movement. We know that while in the body, in the womb, the body actually feels pain and grows. Mothers testify their baby responds to their voice, music, and father's voice. If Christ actually departed or had not yet entered the womb, there are exigencies which can permit departure and return. We know plenipotentiaries are accepted and used by extraterrestrial beings very often to accomplish the work of salvation. Jesus could have been the womb and had a plenipotentiary carried in whatever was needed. We know the body of an unborn child is alive, has feelings, and moves. Now, what do we hear today from these people who are pagans? They say, mothers, what you can do is talk to your child and get your child's permission to kill it. Yeah, like I'm gonna give you permission to come in my house and murder my wife. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Or you're gonna talk to her and say, hey, I wanna come into your house and kill you. Yeah, that's the quote logic, end quote. That's the quote rationale, end quote, of these people. It reflects the violation of the natural law. They lose common sense. They flee from themselves. They deny their own human nature. Mothers are the only transport from heaven to earth. They are special creations. Now, some people say, well, the baby's handicapped, as the church allows. Therefore, we might as well terminate it before it comes out. It's miserable all its life. I don't know your perspective. Perhaps it's limited. Mine's such that I know many people who have deformed children. Some are only supposed to live 8 years and now live 50 years. They've been a blessing to their families. In fact, one family had 4 of their children go into childcare, specializing in handicapped childcare as a profession. They love the child. They see what's going on. They see the growth, development, the changes. And they want to go out and help these people. What a concept. I've known people on platforms, motorized platforms. They go to college and get degrees. Men of Honor. It's about this Black Navy diver who had his leg cut off so he could continue diving. Look, handicapped children are just that. They're handicapped. I'm handicapped. And the older I get, the more handicapped I become. Little thing about Agent Orange contamination from Vietnam. Rheumatoid arthritis, systemic heart disease. I have 2 friends with prostate cancer. It's just compound of a toxic chemical, and it grows over the decades. Okay, so God does nourish life and he gives it to us individually, but society has an obligation to protect life, and society has an obligation to terminate life. If an individual commits a capital crime, murders somebody, and there are two or more witnesses, and DNA corroborates this, that individual has to die. He has to be executed. No. It's not execution after 30 years of appeal. That doesn't work. He is found guilty, she is found guilty. One automatic appeal, 6 months. At the end of that automatic appeal, if the verdict is still guilty, 3 days later, they terminate. My cousin, who's a Baptist minister down in the South, was in prison ministry for decades. He knew a guy who killed 14 people. He was in prison with life sentences, 2 or 3 life sentences, and he murdered 4 people while in prison. Yeah, give me another life term. Oh, wait a minute. And who's punished by this 30-year? Oh, innocent people are punished. Innocent people are punished. Ted Bundy escaped a number of times. And when he escaped, he went out and raped and murdered more people. When they finally caught him and executed him, he had claimed into 3 digits. He had murdered people into 3 digits. Let's don't let these people get back on the street. 6 months. If it's still guilty, 3 days, they terminate. Oh, but we have to watch cruel and unusual punishment. Hanging, firing squad, electrocution. There's a lot of ways, chemical. There's a lot of ways to do it. Okay. And as I said, the Innocent People's Society pay the millions of dollars. I haven't checked in them a long time, but it used to be $30,000 a year to keep one prisoner. $30,000. I think it's gone up considerably in the last 20 years. Now, another thing we absolutely know for a fact. Human beings, you and I, no beginning, no end. We live forever. God doesn't have to judge us in this life. He can take care of us later. Okay? There's a judgment day for everyone. But nations are judged in mortality. Sodom and Gomorrah were pretty wicked. They had Pride Month every quarter. They had Pride. They went out in the fields and they had Pride Day every quarter. And they were terminated. Fire and brimstone from heaven. We have bloodied this promised land with over 60 million abortions. Do you think for a nanosecond that the United States of America, who funds abortions throughout the world, taxpayer dollars, do you think for a nanosecond we're going to get away scot-free? No. This nation must be drenched in blood. We've drenched it in the innocent blood. It will be drenched in blood. That's too bad. But that's what happens. Now, whether it's an invasion, whether it's civil disobedience and disruption, civil war, whether it's earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis, floods, whatever happens, starvation, whatever happens, drought happens. Combination of all of them. This nation will be judged. Thank you.